Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk to you about podcasts. 2018 was the year that I really got into podcasts, and I was probably extremely late to the party, but I found so many that I enjoyed and I really got into the habit of including them in my daily routine. I like to listen to podcasts when I'm out walking. If I've taken Marnie out in the pram and she's fallen asleep, I'll put my headphones on and I'll listen to a podcast then. Dan always teases me because I've got these like wireless over-ear headphones, and he always teases me that I look really weird walking around with them on. I don't care, I'm in my little podcast world and I'm happy as Larry. I also like to listen to them when I'm pottering around the house. Again, if Marnie's asleep, I'll put my headphones on and do some household chores like cleaning or hoovering or putting the washing away, and I'll listen to them then. I like to listen to them in bed, but I will usually fall asleep, so I try not to do that too often because then I miss loads and I don't know where I got to in the podcast. I don't need to tell you how to listen to podcasts, that's how I like to do it. They make me feel really happy and comforted and inspired, and they make me laugh, they make me cry. There's so many great podcast series out there, and I thought today I would share with you 5 that are my current favourites that I'm really into at the moment. Some of them are very new to me, I've only discovered them maybe in the last week or so. Some are ones I've been listening to for a while, but these are the 5 that are on constant rotation in my ears. I'm going to start with my most recent discovery actually, because I was listening to it last night and it had me laughing out loud, and it is a podcast by Faris, the Hollywood actress. She starred in all the Scary movies. She was married to Chris Pratt. I don't know if she is, I think they may have split up, which is devastating because I love her and I love him, and I think they made a great couple, but I digress. She has a podcast called Faris is Unqualified. Not only does she have some great guests, but I love her. She's so witty and likable and warm and just nice to listen to, so I listened to loads of them last night. I think the first one I started with was probably one of my favourites, and she was interviewing Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey was in Parks and Rec with Chris Pratt. She also interviews Macaulay Culkin, Jack Johnson, Jim Jeffries, who is a Australian comedian that is very like borderline offensive, but he's hilarious. I love him as well. He's got some Netflix shows that we've really enjoyed. It's a really nice, easy listen, and it's one that I'm really enjoying at the moment. Next up, and one that you may have heard of already, is the Gary Vee audio experience. I love Gary Vee. I follow him on YouTube, on Instagram, and I listen to his podcast. And what I love the most about his podcast is that he delivers really short, motivational bursts of information, and it is literally only a couple of minutes. He does longer podcasts as well, which I do like, but I tend to listen to him more for the shorter ones. But it's the kind of thing that I'll listen to, I'll feel really inspired, really motivated, and just want to go about the rest of my day with the same enthusiasm that he does. So if you haven't heard of Gary Vee and you're into social media, marketing, if you have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account that you're trying to grow, or just any business at all that you want to do really amazing things with, then Gary Vee is your man. He's so motivating, his energy levels in everything he does are just insane, and I've never come across someone quite as inspiring as Gary Vee, so definitely worth a listen. Next up is a podcast I've been listening to for a while, and it's What's the Tea with Ru, Paul and Michelle Visage. If you're a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't watch RuPaul's Drag Race, I would start there. It's all on Netflix and it's just a stroke of genius. It's one of the best things on TV in my opinion. I've seen every single episode. So through that I discovered this podcast, and it's a similar vibe and a similar energy. It's very upbeat and funny. It's not one to listen to if you have kids around because they are a bit sweary, but it's really, really good. They do have some great guests on. I think they've had Lena Dunham and they have contestants from the show, but I tend to listen to it more for them, for Ru, Paul and Michelle Visage. Their chemistry and their relationship is what pulls me into that one particularly. I just like listening to them chat. They're really funny and honest and open, and it's just a nice, genuine friendship that you're listening to. So yeah, I love that one. Number 4 on my list is Fern Cotton's Happy Place. This is one I've been listening to for a while as well. I tend to dip in and out of it. It's not one that I tend to listen to lots of episodes in one go, but when I do listen to it, I always really enjoy it. She's got some great guests as well. One of my recent favourites was Zoe Sugg. She gave a great interview and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to that one. She's also interviewed Dawn French, Russell Brand, Stephen Fry, some really big names. Actually, she interviewed Matt Haig, who is the author of a book that I've added to my 2019 reading list, and that's where I first came across him, and since then I've seen him everywhere. But I really enjoyed his interview with Fern as well. I've always loved Fern Cotton. I think she's really cool, really relatable, and I just find her really easy to listen to, so I would definitely recommend Happy Place as well. My last podcast recommendation is probably my favourite at the moment, and it's called The Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. Dax Shepard is one of those people, I know I've heard of him, but I can't quite put my finger on what I've seen him in. I've since read up about him, and he was in a movie with Seth Green and Tina Fey, and he did Punk'd with Ashton Kutcher, and once I started reading about him I could kind of remember those things. But his podcast is brilliant. He came up on my other podcasts you might like the recommendations bit of the app. I clicked on it and I've been hooked ever since. My favourite episode was when he interviewed Kristen Bell, who is actually his wife, which I didn't realise when I first clicked on it, but it's such a good interview. They basically start off in a mood with each other, and they've had an argument about something at the beginning, and he says in the intro that he almost didn't air this particular episode because it was just so awkward. But it's just a really funny and real insight into a married couple and the way they talk to each other. It's just brilliant. I'd highly recommend it. I really like Kristen Bell as well. She's one of my favourite actresses. I think she's so likeable and she always comes across so well in interviews, and that is, I would start with that episode. I think it does come up as one of the best of the series, so if you're gonna give it a listen, start with that one. But he's got some amazing guests. I've written some of them down so I wouldn't forget, but he's interviewed Seth Rogen, Lena Dunham, who I love as well, and Amy Schumer, who's just hilarious. So there are so many great guests. They're not all actors. He interviews people from different career backgrounds with different stories to tell, and it's all very much centered on that person's story, which I always find fascinating anyway. But it is a brilliant podcast. I would highly recommend, and definitely start with the Kristen Bell episode because that one is my favourite. So those are 5 of my favourite podcasts at the moment. I'd love to hear your podcast recommendations. What do you think I would really like to listen to? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my videos. I'm uploading every day in January. If you enjoyed this one, do give it a thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!